If you want an easy way to find your customers on TikTok, well, then you're going to have to master all of the different targeting options that TikTok has made available for you. And knowing exactly what these different targeting options are, and more importantly, when to use them, can make all of the difference when it comes to actually making money with TikTok ads and losing money. Don't worry, in this masterclass, I'll break down what each of these options is, as well as going over how to set them up inside the TikTok ads dashboard. However, if you want a more in-depth and holistic guide on how to run TikTok ads in general, well, then check the top link in the description down below. By the way, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Neil. I run Links Digital, an agency that has managed millions on TikTok ads and has taught several hundred people how to run TikTok ads themselves. With that being said, let's jump into the 7 big categories of TikTok targeting options that you can see on screen right now. Now, I will say that in order to access some of these targeting options, you can do it either through your campaign settings when you're launching a new campaign. However, for others, you actually have to set them up through the assets inside your audience manager. Don't worry, I'll break down how to do both. All right, let's start with one of the biggest clusters out there and one of the ones that's easiest to understand, which is demographic targeting. So with TikTok ads, you're actually able to target audiences based on demographic parameter. However, these parameters are still a little bit generalized, especially if you're coming from a different ad platform like, say, YouTube or Facebook. And the way that we access these demographic targeting options is going to be through your campaign manager and when you are setting up a new campaign. So we'll do that right now in the dashboard, and I'll show you exactly how you can target all of these different audiences. So we're going to create a brand new campaign, and we can pretty much ignore the first half of setting up this campaign and just jump into the ad group level where you'll get all of these targeting options. And then I want you to scroll down into the section that says demographics. And this is really where you're going to be able to play around with your demographic targeting. The first thing that I want to bring a note to is location or geo-based targeting. Like some of the other ad platforms, you can find and make sure that your ads are placed within a certain geography. However, unlike other ad platforms, you can't be hyper targeted or hyper specific for where you want your ads placed. Unfortunately, this is a limitation of TikTok ads. That means you cannot target by zip codes or postal codes, and you can't be hyper specific with the cities that you do target. Again, this really depends on where you want to target. Maybe if you're lucky that you want to only do local campaigns in a specific city, that your city is listed on here. Like for example, if we go down to Canada, not a lot of cities are listed. If you go into Ontario, there's thousands of cities here. However, you're only really able to target 3. It's a pretty big limitation with TikTok ads. However, it's not the end of the world because you can still target geographically within a certain radius. I do want to point out another limitation with TikTok ads, and this has to do with location targeting. And this is mainly due to TikTok compliance issues and some of the global scrutiny that they face. As an advertiser on TikTok, you actually cannot target and show your ads globally. I know this kind of sucks. This is a big limitation. So what do I mean by this? If you are an advertiser in the United States and your ad account is based in the US, you actually cannot target people in Europe and European countries, and vice versa. I've linked an article down below that really breaks down where you are allowed to target based on where your ad account is set up. So if you want more information on that, definitely check the link down below. All right, next up, we have a pretty straightforward targeting option, which is gender. You can select male, female, or all, and that's followed by age. Now, TikTok does not give you the ability to be super specific with your age targeting. You can't say like pick 15 to 16-year-olds or like 37 to 39-year-olds. You do have to stay within these buckets. All right, next up we have languages, which is again another straightforward one. You can pick the language that your target audience is going to be speaking or understanding your ads. And what I recommend is that you always tick off whatever language that your TikTok ad is actually filmed in. So for our case, let's go with English. All right, that's pretty much it for all demographic targeting. What I recommend is that you actually layer in some sort of basic demographic targeting with all of your campaigns. I'll talk a little bit more about how to use each one of these targeting options at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. All right, after demographics, let's jump into device-based targeting. And unlike demographic targeting, I think TikTok is really leading the way here with all of the device targeting options that it has made available for you. So within your ad group settings of your campaign, you can scroll down to device, and here you can see all of the different options available to you, and they are quite extensive. So you can target by operating system, OS version, device model, connection type, carriers, even device price, which is pretty much unheard of on any other ad platform. Now, personally, for 90% of you watching this video, device targeting is pretty much going to be useless unless you have a hyper-specific use case, like something like you're maybe promoting a mobile app. Then obviously you're going to have to choose the right OS, all that fun stuff. Maybe if you are, doing a high ticket offer, maybe a luxury good, you mess around with the device price or the device model, right? You can choose higher end devices for that, and that might correlate better with your audience. The only other type that we use this device targeting options is when we have a education based offer. With this, whenever we have to educate the customer on whatever product or service we're selling, maybe it's we need to take them off of TikTok, we need to show them a video sales letter, maybe a long form webinar breaking down exactly what our product or service is. In those certain scenarios, we will use the connection type and we will go and choose Wi-Fi only because this kind of basically indicates that the person watching the ad is connected to Wi-Fi. They're sitting either at home or in a place where they're not going to be moving around too much, and they can spend the time that is required for them to be educated on your product or service in order to make a purchasing decision. Other than that, we don't really mess with device-based targeting options. All right, so the next targeting option that I want to bring your attention to is under the content targeting umbrella. Even though on TikTok in the dashboard it's under the interest options, it is really a content-based targeting options. I'm talking about hashtags itself. So similar to some of our previous targeting options, you are going to find this under the ad group settings when you're setting up a new campaign, and you're going to want to go scroll down under interests and behaviors, and this is going to be the last targeting option down here, and this is going to be your hashtags. So with this targeting option, you can essentially target people that are looking up certain hashtags. This is pretty similar to if you've run Google PPC campaigns or maybe YouTube discovery ad campaigns. Think of it along the same lines. Now, my recommendations with this targeting options, if you do choose to use hashtags, is to definitely split test them in your campaigns and use them almost as an opportunity to educate your customer about your product or service. And the other thing that I will mention is that you want to be hyper specific with the hashtags that you choose. You don't want to go broad with hashtags like TikTok made me buy it or viral products, because they aren't going to be specific enough, and you are going to end up losing money with your ad spend. All right, next up we have our data point audiences or data point driven targeting options. So these are going to be the first targeting options that you will actually need to pre-build inside the audience manager. Now, these are a cluster of audiences that are based on your data points. Now, these can be audiences built by people that are from a previous customer list. So if you have an existing audience, maybe you're running traffic from another platform like Facebook or YouTube, and you want to import those people here. These can be people that have interacted with your ads in a certain way. So maybe they've followed your profile or, clicked on an ad. You can also make audiences based on people that have been on your website. So in order to do this, you actually need to make sure that you have your TikTok pixel installed correctly. If you aren't sure how to do that, watch this video right here. And what I will say is that these data point audiences are mainly used for remarketing in order to show your ads to people who have already interacted with your business on TikTok or off TikTok in a certain way. All right, let's go over exactly how to make these audiences. So unlike the other targeting options, you are actually going to go under assets and then go into audiences. And this is where you can actually access all of your audiences that you've pre-built. So you can upload customer files here. You can remarket and set up website traffic based on maybe, let's say, what pages they've viewed. If they've done a specific conversion event, you can set all of that stuff here. All right, next, let's talk about the three targeting options that actually fall under the expansion targeting umbrella. All right, first off, we have lookalike audiences. Now, if you've run Facebook ads before, you know all about lookalike audiences. However, if you haven't run Facebook ads, lookalike audiences are essentially audiences that are built and expanded on from your original audience based on their initial characteristics. So TikTok essentially takes a look at your initial audience that you've built, sees all the characteristics that define it, maybe all the demographic parameters, maybe the other targeting parameters, and says, hey, listen, these are other people that also fit this criteria. I'm going to make a larger audience with some of the shared characteristics. And the way you create these audiences is going to be, again, through your audience manager. You're going to come in here, click create an audience, and then click lookalike audience. And here you can set up a custom lookalike audience. And then for this, you're going to have to select your source. And this is going to be that initial audience that I was talking about. And then one of the things that TikTok actually allows you to do is either omit the source or contain the source. That means this new lookalike audience that TikTok's going to make for you, do you want that original audience as a part of the lookalike audience? If you do, you say contain. If you don't, you click omit. Okay, with lookalike audiences covered, let's talk about automatic targeting, which is kind of like open targeting, where you essentially let TikTok take the reins and it goes out there and find audiences that it thinks will convert best for your offer. When do you use this option? Probably never. And the way you actually see this targeting option is going to be in your ad group setting when you're selecting your targeting, right? You can do custom targeting or automatic targeting. Again, I don't think the TikTok ads algorithms are smart enough to really make this effective right now. However, if you are somebody that's hyperscaling a ad account and you want to mess around with it, do it at your own risk. And finally, let's talk about target expansion, which is similar to lookalike audiences. However, it's different in the way that TikTok only expands people and audiences that it thinks are likely to convert. Whereas lookalike audiences were a blanket expansion based on characteristics, TikTok only expands these audiences based on what it thinks is most likely to convert. And the way you access this targeting expansion option is going to be through certain campaign objectives, and you can get this under the device. You can toggle this on or off. All right, with that settled, let's talk about the two main targeting options that you will use, because these are the best when it comes to actually finding your customers on TikTok. I'm talking about interest-based targeting options and behavior-based targeting options. Now, these two differ based on how they build their audiences in their respective clusters. So interest-based audiences are going to be built on who people are versus behavior-based audiences, which are going to be built on what people are doing on TikTok. All right, the best way to break these down is going to be through our campaigns again. And when you scroll down to interests and behaviors, you will get all of the different targeting options available to you. So the first thing that I want to point out is the purchase intent option, which is actually a behavior style of targeting options. Now, you're going to be able to target people with a purchase intention. These are going to be people that have demonstrated to TikTok that they're in the market to actually buy a specific product or service, and you can go and search specific categories for that. Now, you can also target by general interest, and these are going to be people or audiences that are interested in specific topics, and you can search them through here. Now, what I recommend is that you actually go in and actually type up manually what specific interest that you're going to go after, because as you can see that these broad categories are not very specific. For example, we're going into travel here and hotels and accommodations. Let's say you have a hostel that you're trying to promote on TikTok. You don't actually have that option here within its predefined parameters, but if I go in and search for hostels, we should be able to find the hostel interest, and we can now target people that are interested in hostels. Similarly, you can do behavior-based targeting. So these are going to be actions that people take on TikTok, and you are going to be able to target based on those parameters. So the main ones that people usually use is when people have watched a specific video in a specific category till the end. Maybe they've interacted with it by liking, comment, or sharing. And you can also do creator interaction. So if they've followed or viewed a profile within a specific category. All right, now that you know of all of the different targeting options, let's talk about when to use each one. In order to demonstrate this, I've made this handy little diagram that shows you what you should start with and how you should move through with your account age. So when you first start running TikTok ads, you want to start with the left-hand side and then move your way through all of the different targeting options. You will notice that demographic targeting is actually not on this timeline, and it's at the bottom. And this is because you should be using demographic targeting and layering it in with all of your different targeting options for all of your different campaigns. So every single campaign, despite what sort of targeting you're going after, whether you're doing interest-based audiences, hashtags, whatever campaigns you're running, you always want to be doing some sort of layered demographic targeting. Okay, so let me make this a little bit easier to read and we'll break down. So the way this breaks down is you want to start with your narrowest and most high intent audiences first. You want to go in after the most specific audiences and then move your way to broader audiences as you're scaling your account. You know, as you're spending more money and you're scaling and your account starts aging, you want to go into broader audiences. So Whenever we launch TikTok ad campaigns, the first thing that we want to do is go after remarketing audiences. Why? These are probably going to be the audiences that are most likely to convert, most likely to buy something. So like I mentioned, you're going to, if you have run traffic on other platforms, start off by uploading those customer files. Maybe you have website traffic that you want to remarket it. Maybe you are a TikTok influencer and you want to remarket your audience. You're going to want to go use those audiences first. Next, for cold traffic, what we highly recommend is that you start with interest-based audiences or purchase intent audiences first. You want to do a mix of a few. Launch a few interest-based campaigns, launch a couple of purchase intent campaigns. Now, which one is going to work for your specific business? I can't really say. This is very offer dependent. However, having a good mix of the two will ensure that you find your audiences and you will soon enough figure out, okay, with this split test, which sort of targeting option works best with your specific offer. Once that's settled, sometimes we move into hashtags as well, depending on, again, how broad the offer is. However, this is pretty much reserved to scaling when we're trying to get a little bit bigger. And this is pretty much the bread and butter of all of the targeting options we actually use at TikTok ads. Because TikTok is very broad, we haven't found a difficulty scaling with these targeting options. And because of this, we rarely ever, if at all, move into some of the other broader targeting options. We hardly ever actually move into behavior targeting options because we don't think these audiences are specific enough, and we find it very difficult to actually find customers for our products and services. And because the interest and the purchase intent audiences are actually broad enough, we never actually find it a use to go after lookalike audiences, unless in the rare case we're making lookalike audiences from our remarketing audiences. That is the only time we've found where we've actually seen success with lookalike audiences. However, if you're making lookalike audiences based on interest or purchase intent audiences, I don't think that's going to go off well. And that's essentially how you go about targeting on TikTok ads. If you found this video useful, definitely drop us a like and definitely check out the top link in the description for my full TikTok ads masterclass.